Well, like every small independent film festival, we make as much noise as we can afford to. I think we've been there in the background for the past 9 years, but with a steadily growing, very loyal audience. And each year, I think we widen the reach and get a few more film lovers on board.
How was it born? What was the genesis of the first one?
I lived and studied in Canada, and when I moved to Australia 9 years ago, despite our kind of cultural affinity with Canada, I found that there were very few Canadian films on our screens. So we started the Canadian Film Festival as a bit of an experiment, and I think our intuition was validated in that Australian audiences seemed to really get it. They kind of embraced it. They got the humor, and so we decided to make it an annual event. And then a couple of years ago, we widened the scope of the festival to include American films. Although the focus is squarely on independent cinema, a lot of the films we screen don't have distribution, so it's not a blockbuster or a commercial preview festival. It's more about a chance to discover independent filmmakers.
Do you think the Canadian filmmakers generally and US independent filmmakers suffered the same sort of difficulty in finding screens around the world as Australian filmmakers do?
I'm sure they find similar challenge. They face similar challenges. I think everyone who's working in independent cinema today would love to have more direct access to audiences, perhaps fewer intermediaries, and better tools to talk to those audiences. I think maybe in the U.S. and Canada, they're a little bit further along than we are in terms of streaming and getting films to an audience through those channels. But in terms of getting films on the big screen, I think it's a battle that independent filmmakers face really pretty much all over the world. Sadly, our screens are still dominated by big commercial products that have huge marketing budgets behind them. And film festivals, I think, are a great way to kind of alert audiences to what else is out there and to allow them to make discoveries so that they can demand more diversity and more variety when they go to the movies.
It's interesting that you talk about pathways to audience, that there are new exhibition models which are kind of working around the idea that the festival screening will be the theatrical release for independent films, launching them into home entertainment, whether that be DVD or digital download. Is that what you hope you can build with the Possible Worlds Film Festival for both Canadian and US independent films in Australia?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if the festival is a chance for Australians to discover, the work of a filmmaker like John Magarey or Zachary Wigan, then and they probably wouldn't otherwise, then that's great. But I don't necessarily wish for festivals to replace theatrical exhibition. I think it is, though, a great platform to get a name for your film and maybe enhance its profile for streaming or downloads later on. Certainly, I feel like the arrival of Netflix and similar services are going to be huge competition for festivals because people will get access to a very wide variety of films in the comfort of their homes. But at the same time, I also feel like they're going to push festivals to raise the bar and to provide a fully rounded, interactive, rich experience around the film that will be strong enough to, lure audiences away from their computer screens. And I think they will also, hopefully, these streaming platforms will also alert people to what's out there, to the incredible variety of filmmaking that is out there that we don't see at the multiplex, and create an audience for these filmmakers.
There are 19 or 18 films in this 2014 program, evenly split between Canada and the United States of America. Do any of the films have local domestic distribution at all, or is this the only place that Australian audiences will be able to see this program of films?
It's safe to say that a lot of those, if you want to catch them on the big screen, it's kind of now or never. There are films like The Grand Seduction, which people be able to catch, or I Origins, the science fiction film with Michael Pitt, is going to come out in cinemas here. But most of the films are Australian premieres, films that without festivals you couldn't see. We even have a world premiere. So this is really a chance to discover an alternate type of cinema, I would say.
Now, I've had a chance to preview maybe 4 or 5 of the features,
Okay.
and just from having a look at the selection that you were able to send through to me to preview, it's a very broad, very diverse range of cinema as well. Is there a theme to it other than they're all independent?
There isn't, and the reason why is that the idea that we have is to create a snapshot of independent filmmaking in North America today. And in order to do that, you do have to reflect the variety of filmmaking traditions, of genres, of languages. And so that creates an eclectic program. But I think that's a good thing. We've got films in French and in English. We've got documentaries and fiction. We have quite serious dramas alongside, really riotous comedies. The idea is more to put the spotlight on films that we feel tell a personal story. Often what I kind of struggle to find in commercial cinema from North America is the personal. It feels like every rough edge, every unique kind of aspects of a film has been kind of filed off to create a really smooth product that appeal to everyone. So we're really interested in films that reflect a unique, culturally specific personal experience. Whether they're films that reach out to a wide audience or, are happy to talk to a few, what they have in common, I think, is that very personal vision.
As I said, there are 18 films. You must only be really scratching the surface of what's out there from North America. Is it a tough project to put such a refined program together?
It is. It's a bit of a labor of love. I mean, we travel to festivals around the world to look at films. We go to Toronto, to Vancouver, to South by Southwest, and there's lots of things we don't get access to. We are in competition with much bigger festivals, but the idea is that it does only scratch the surface, and you can't just through one small festival give a complete picture. But I think the complete picture is the one that's painted by every single festival in Sydney year round, including the Sydney Film Festival, which has a great indie lineup, the Sydney Underground Film Festival, which is in September, which also showcases some great North American indies. I think together, we festivals tell a story of what cinema can look like. So it's a real collaborative effort year round, I would say. Our festival is just one brick in that wall.